I'm sitting here today with Spencer Ploessl of SpencerPloessl.com. He is a branding strategist and creative expert. So, Spencer, thank you for joining me here today. And if you would, just kind of take me through your journey and how you got specialized in creative design and marketing.
Yeah, thanks, Lars. Thanks for having me, man. We're just kind of just hanging out, having a casual chat. I love this. It's a great game to play. So for myself, I have a formal degree, a bachelor's of fine arts degree in graphic design. Um, and I started out actually in the craft beer and beverage industry over in the state of Wisconsin as a graphic designer at a wholesale distributor for Miller and Leinenkugel's products, amongst other craft products. And that was, ooh, well over 2 decades ago. I started in the craft beer game before I could even legally drink alcohol. I was 20 years old. So that's how I started my stint in the game, and I have done many things from there. But yeah, it's all led me to become the independent marketing and creative consultant that I am, working on brands far and wide from New Zealand and back, and in all different capacities from, yes, marketing endeavors, creative, design, web, media, email marketing, what have you, in all different industries, specifically focusing on passion project spaces like the cannabis beverage industry, the craft beer beverage industry, stuff like that. So, yeah, man.
Awesome. So, first off, I have to say that it doesn't seem like you're old enough to be having done this for 20 years. So, kudos to you. Need to understand your skin routine.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about low stress and high energy consumption from the sunlight. So that means go outside and stop stressing so much about the shit in life. Something that my mom always told me growing up, still does, is she said, don't sweat the small stuff. And it's true because in reality, in this whole entire universe that we can't even understand the entire scope of, everything is actually really small. So we have to sweat a lot less and stop worrying so much about certain things. But that's a whole nother esoteric conversation that we're not even going to dive into today.
Perfect. So, obviously, you've been doing this for a while now, formally in graphic design and getting your start in craft beer. But at what point did it make sense for you to start your own business? And what was your mission when you first started and goal? And then how has that evolved over time?
Yeah, 100%. I like it. Actually, in high school, it, we talk about starting a business. Um, there's a lot of people that I've met in the last 4+ years of life through the pandemic and such that have started and went off on their own and brought their services from whether they were in-house or at a creative agency, and they're like, I'm going to go out on my own and do my own thing. Well, I've been doing freelance independent consulting, creative work, like I said, for almost 20 years now. And that started just as simply as in high school, taking computer design classes, like literally like Photoshop 2, right? Uh, and designing logos for aunts, uncles, friends, family for their small entrepreneurial businesses a few decades back, and charging, a couple $100 for a logo when I was this little high school kid, didn't know what I was doing, trying to like hustle and make some money, so I could pay for my gas to drive to my friends' houses, and hang out. So really, it's funny how, fast forward to now, didn't really have any intention on starting a business per se. I was just that tried and true hamster wheel kind of kid, like get out of high school, got to go to college, get a career, do the whole thing. Like definitely was part of that American dreamscape. Uh, but once I graduated school and was looking to move from northern Wisconsin over to the Twin Cities, over to Minneapolis, St. Paul, I wanted to work for like a large ad agency, or like a creative agency or something of that nature. And it was funny how it all shook out. I've always been taking on freelance projects and stuff like that. But my buddy who I went to college with, we started a little t-shirt design company. So we would design t-shirts and apparel for dance teams of different collegiate universities, as well as wrestling teams, like their throw-off gear and their tear-off gear and stuff like that. And that kind of led to this little small business endeavor where we would then, fuel all that money from the design and the creative and the selling of that apparel back into like our own badass sort of like t-shirt lifestyle brand. We always talk to this day about like if we'd have known back then how to actually monetize social, we would still have a totally rad fucking lifestyle brand that was selling sick apparel, but it was just one of those things that didn't flow and didn't work out necessarily. But when I moved over to the Twin Cities in 2011, I started a web design marketing agency with my buddy who I'm telling you about in that t-shirt kind of company, apparel company. And we built that 4 or 5-ish years to a smattering of creatives. He was the CEO and I was his partner and creative director. And we built a team of creatives, marketers, social media managers, bloggers, content creators, developers, web designers, sales reps, project managers, the tried and true agency way. And then fast forward from there, I was always taking on independent freelance work that like the agency would never bring in, like too small of projects. So yeah, fast forward to now, it was just one of those things where I just took that sort of prowess that I obtained and just brought that into my own world. I knew how to source potential work. I knew how to pitch the work. I knew how to do the work, produce the results that we were after within contractual obligations. And then at the end of the day, you have to obviously get paid to do that work. And then you have to cycle that life. You always, while you're eating, you always have to be out with your bow and arrow out on the plains hunting the next buffalo, so to speak. And the cycle never ends. And for some people, it's not for them. Some people, they want to be part of that process, but only have their lane that they stay in. And for me, I like being part of all of it. I like having full scope into everything that's going on, from landing work to executing work to continuing partnerships and always building new ones. So that's kind of how I got into how I do what I do nowadays, which is being an independent marketing and creative consultant that just works with brands in different capacities.
Thank you for that. So you kind of mentioned something there around working in the business and as well as working on the business. So how do you balance those two sides of the coin as a one-man shop of working on your business to obviously grow it to where you need it to be, but also doing the work so that your clients are happy as well?
Yeah, it's a delicate dance. That's the simplest way to put it. Like, yeah, you have to do the work. You have to execute at a high level to be able to produce the results that you're after. Communication is number one, followed with trust. And or maybe flip-flop, vice versa. You have to first have the trust and intuition and make sure the communication is followed very, very close behind. But yeah, like I said, it's a delicate dance, man. I mean, you have to do all the admin stuff. You have to be smart and efficient with your time and time blocking. It seems so very obvious, right? Like you have to block your time. You have to understand that you have to put the time. But don't get me wrong. Like I fall short on admin shit. Like, oh man, invoices due. Didn't wrap the expense sheet up for the last 3 months because I've been so deep dive and busy in project work or whatever that might be. And it ebbs and flows, but just like the world of anyone working in a full-time gig or a contract gig or a freelance independent gig, it's a dance that you have to dance. And for me, I have both found the highs and the lows inside of my journey. I equate it to a roller coaster. And there's going to be highs and screaming and just on top of the world. And then there's also going to be the lows of the low. And my biggest key is to not jump off the roller coaster just because it doesn't seem like it's fun at the bottom. I stay on that roller coaster because I know that there's a good chance that the roller coaster is going to go back to the top again.
That's a great philosophy.
Thanks,
So
man.
kind of sticking with that,
Yeah.
was there a pivotal moment or a project that not only reinforced your commitment to your freelance work and marketing, but also in particular the cannabis industry itself?
Sure. So two-part answer on that. One, there really wasn't anything specific in the freelance independent side of stuff. Like I said, for the last couple, like literally almost the last 20 years, I've been dabbling in that inside and outside of other W-2, like formalized actual full-time employment jobs.
Mhm.
Always taking on small independent projects here and there, whatever they might look like, maybe some analytics and recommendations on a website, driving traffic, helping you sell more products, whatever that might be. Maybe your email marketing, drip flows and your branching logic campaigns, maybe building a new website, stuff like that. So there wasn't any necessarily project that was like, all right, this is the pivotal one. Now I'm going to go out on my own and I'm going to build this, my own personal brand and my own business. It just kind of was a flow of life for the last couple decades. Now, on the cannabis side of things, I will say, having consumed cannabis flower for, I don't know, since I was 16, something of that nature. I always, as a designer, as an art-focused human, I always had two things that I really wanted to do in my life. One, the dream job was always to work for Burton and design badass snowboards and apparel. That one's still a heavy dream. I would still love to, design badass snowboard graphics and graphics for apparel design for Burton snowboards out of Burlington, Vermont. And the other one was, when I were little kids, smoking weed behind the back barn or wherever it was, in the woods on the way to school or something. It was never a fit of our imagination then, like cannabis would be legal. Oh, that was like so far in my imagination, but I had always imagined I wanted to do package design for, at that time, the easiest thing was to equate was like cigarettes, right? Cigarette cartons. I imagine like, man, joints would come, like you could buy cigarettes and I would design cool, badass packaging for cannabis, weed for joints
Yeah.
when I was little. I thought that'd be so sweet. And here now, like I'm saying, fast forward into this world, because of my last, like I was saying, 15 to 20 years in the craft beer and beverage space. As soon as THC beverages and cannabis infused beverages started to become a thing, especially in the poster child state of Minnesota that I live in now, I was all about it because I was in the craft beer space for as long as I've been in it, and I was like, I want to be part of that. I want to design things in that world. I want to create. I want to grow. I want to help companies and brands flourish. So yeah, that was kind of my fast track into it, if you will, in the last 4 or 5 years. The pivotal brand, so to speak, that I jumped into, and I'll shout out the team at Goodfields over in Massachusetts, Jason Raposa and his crew. I was with the team for a little bit, a few years back now, and helping do some design work and some creative work while they were launching into the Massachusetts market and building their team and their production facility and stuff like that. So yeah, super, super fun brand to jump into. And that was,
Absolutely.
mind you, before any of the hemp-derived stuff. That was all rec market, like cannabis-infused seltzers into dispensaries.
Yeah, for sure. Jason's a good dude. Love the good feels. I haven't had a chance to try the drops yet, the beverage enhancer, but I have had their seltzers and they're really good.
Nice.
Um, so you're in cannabis, you're in craft beer. How do you see the cannabis industry as a whole evolving? Whether that be, regulated rec market, as well as the hemp derived, and how do you see design and marketing playing into that evolution?
Yeah.
And could you see it taking the route of that kind of craft beer model, or is it something completely different?
Sure. Yeah, heavy, heavy question. Lots of data points in this one for me. I love it though. Yeah, to be completely honest, I think there's a huge spectrum of differences of individuals inside of this industry. Like, let's say 28 years ago, medical marijuana in the state of California,
Mhm.
changing the game. 12 years ago, Colorado, Washington, rec, legal market, cannabis, flower, dispensaries, things of that nature. So there are those market spaces that people have it all figured out, right? They know how to do what it is. They've built this legacy market. And then there are places like Minnesota and some other newer states, and we'll not even get into the politics and all the things that are happening in and around what's going on with hemp-derived beverages and whatnot. But there's also people inside of these newer spaces that also think they have it all figured out and know it all. So it's very interesting to me to be in the corner that I'm in when it comes to design, marketing, creative, and seeing how there's really an amalgamation of viewpoints and opinions, which is great because that's what makes us all unique at the end of the day, which we all know we're made up of the same stardust from wherever we came. But our opinions and our viewpoints and the truths that resonate with ourselves are what makes us unique. And I think that's what's so fun for me as an independent is I'm not actually looking to work inside of those brands as a full-time employee. And it gives me my freedom and flexibility as an individual to be able to actually work on a smattering of different projects and different brands to see different perspectives. That's why I haven't personally honed in on just, like I'm saying, craft beer and beverages or THC-infused beverages. Yes, they're fun. Those are like my passion projects, but I work inside of other industries that aren't necessarily that beverage lane. That gives me perspectives that I get to bring inside to the craft beer and beverage space. And where do I really see it headed? Oh man, I mean, your guess is probably as good as mine, right? Like, I think marketing and creative plays a huge role. A buddy of mine who I work on some brand projects with, his name's Casey. We were just together a couple nights ago down in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis for a Think and Link event. And the two speakers, one was Omar Ansari, who is the founder of Surly Brewing Company in Minneapolis, and also VP of Marketing, Andy Pearson of Liquid Death. And the conversation was all about disruptive brands. Liquid Death, Surly Brewing Company. Surly Brewing Company has beers like Hell and Darkness and Furious. And then we all know what Liquid Death is. People like Liquid Death, that sounds like really bad thing for you, right? When it's canned water, canned
Yes.
tea, you know? But me and my buddy Casey were talking about, like, it's so interesting to see how design, creative shapes a brand and how consumers are attracted to it. So we equated to like liquor, and then we were looking at wine bottles. Think about how many people go into a liquor store and they go look at wine bottles and they shop solely based upon label design.
That's
Yeah, right. Like, I've been there, right? And
yep.
even with liquor, we were sitting at a local bar after the networking event, and we were sitting there looking at all the liquor on one, at the shelf at this restaurant bar area, and we were just picking out the bottle designs, the label designs, the foil designs, and which one were the most creative, and we had to choose and pick off shelves. Same similar thing, right? Like, sure, your specific spirit lane that you're trying to be in is your first choice, right? And then, like, you might choose based upon previous past historical experiences. But, long story long, dude, I really think that design and creative has a huge play in where this industry can and will go, especially for brands to stand out in specific ways against their competition. Now, I'll add one more thing, because you equated it to the craft beer industry a little bit. Why I love this cannabis beverage space right now is because it is in this flux, this flowy, weird, newish state where there's a lot of things that are happening. I mean, you report on it all the time. I mean, you are a source of news for myself, and I love that. But what's crazy is it actually mimics like 20 plus years ago, for me, in my infancy in the craft beer space, when macros were still really prevalent and craft beer location. I mean, I remember when Surly Brewing Company crossed across the state lines into Wisconsin and had to pull back out of Wisconsin because they weren't able to meet the demands over in the state of Wisconsin. And now, right, I don't know how many states they're in now, but like, you can find Surly on a plane. So, thinking about where the, THC infused beverage market is headed, we've barely scratched the surface, my friend,
Yes,
So
I could
let's
not
keep
agree more.
diving.
I
Yeah,
could
I
not
love
agree
it.
more. So, you mentioned that you think branding and marketing is going to have a huge impact on the industry, specifically THC beverages. But uh, I I really resonate with that a lot because to me, the branding and the marketing is telling those stories, the real stories, not just our product has 5 milligrams of THC and you're going to get high. No, it's about what is the effect, what is the mood that's going to put you in, what is the lifestyle choice that you're doing there. Is this a drink for a boat day? Is this a drink for hanging out with your friends at home? Is this a let me drink this while I go play basketball with my friends? Uh, these are like the stories that brands need to tell, and that's where the design and the marketing teams come into play, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I'm in total agreement with you. I also believe that not just the visual, right? It's not just like what it looks like from a designer's mind, like, hey, what does this brand look like? How do I attract a consumer to it? But it's everything else that goes with it. Like, your brand identity isn't just a logo and your color schemes. It's really it's really the passions of the people that have started the brand. There are plenty of brands that are coming into this THC infused beverage space that are out here because whether it be investment, I mean, I don't care how you get into it, doesn't really matter. But there's a cash grab out there, right? And I'm not
Mhm.
saying there's anything wrong with that necessarily. However, you can tell.
Yeah.
And it's really easy because it's not infused with the passion and love that there's some brands out there that are being infused with. And like we could go down a whole nother conversation about the non-alcoholic and alcohol-free beverage space, specifically in craft beer as well. We could be here for a whole nother 3 hours talking about that.
What is a way that our readers, or my readers, I should say, can connect with you, and the best way for them to support your work?
Yeah, sweet. I mean, in June of 2020, I deleted all of my social media channels. So you're not going to find me on anything besides LinkedIn. So if you can find me on LinkedIn, literally just look for me, Spencer Ploessl. You'll find a picture of a guy with a big beard, and that'll probably be me. Obviously, spencerploessl.com is my digital reflection of myself. So you can head to my website there. So there's that. Shoemakers kids don't get to have nice shoes. That's the saying.
Hmm.
So my website isn't always as up to date with all of my recent projects as I'd like because I'm too busy repairing all the shoes to make my kids, i.e. me, the new shoes for my website. So if you want to know what kind of projects I've been working on, send me a DM. I'm happy to have a chat, jump on a call, do, a video session. I'm open to anything.
Absolutely. I will also make sure to include those links in the story as well. So lastly, before we head on out of here,
Yeah.
is there anything else that I didn't ask or should have asked that is important for my readers to know?
Yeah. I think, inside of the cannabis industry is to keep the lens wide, right? There's a lot of tight, closed off lenses, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying we need to lead with love. The first language is love. Lead with love, then comes firing in your passions. But always remember that if we all lead with love, this industry as a whole, inside and outside of it, and as humans, we will find the connections that we're looking to make. So just be nice to each other.
Love it.
Sounds
Well,
very simple and trivial, but let's be honest.
yes,
Lead with love.
love it. So thank you very much, Spencer. And until next time, thanks, guys.
Peace.